My girlfriend cheated on me during the vacation trip I paid for and said, "I'm staying here with my new boyfriend. Do not wait for me." I canceled her return flight and cut off her credit card access. When her new romance fell apart, she was stranded alone in Italy. Let me tell you everything from the beginning. There I was, at 29 years old, spending my days analyzing numbers at a regional investment firm and thinking I had my life pretty well figured out. The job was not world-changing, but it kept me comfortable enough to afford the kind of life I wanted. And for 2 years, that life included Adriana, this beautiful 26-year-old girl who managed to make folding clothes at some fancy boutique look like an art form. You know the type, always perfectly put together, knows all the latest fashion trends. Takes about 50 photos before posting one on Instagram. Do not get me wrong, she was beautiful and fun, but our financial situations were quite different. I earned a decent salary, nothing crazy but solid middle class, while she worked maybe 15 hours a week at a retail wage. So naturally, I ended up covering most of our expenses when we went out. Dinners, movies, weekend trips, you name it. It never bothered me much because I thought that is how relationships work. Sometimes one person earns more, contributes more. Plus, Adriana always seemed genuinely grateful and would do little sweet things to show she appreciated it. She would cook dinner sometimes, pick up my dry cleaning, that sort of thing. Looking back now, I wonder if she was just playing the part perfectly. Anyway, her 27th birthday was approaching in March, and I had been racking my brain trying to think of something special to do for her. You see, she had been complaining for months that we never did anything romantic, that I was always working late or too tired to plan exciting dates. And honestly, she was not wrong. I had been putting in some serious hours at the firm, trying to position myself for a promotion, and our relationship had definitely taken a back seat. Most of our recent dates had been Netflix and takeout, maybe dinner at a chain restaurant if we were feeling fancy. So I decided to go all out for her birthday. I am talking about a real surprise, something that would blow her away and maybe remind her why she fell in love with me in the first place. After weeks of research, I settled on a trip to the Amalfi Coast in Italy. Not just any trip, either. I booked us 5 nights at this charming boutique hotel in Positano with partial sea views, the kind of place that looks like it is carved directly into the cliffside. The whole package cost around $4,000, which was definitely a stretch for my budget, but it felt worth it for the woman I was falling in love with. When I told her about the surprise, I swear her face lit up like Christmas morning. "Are you serious right now?" she kept saying, jumping up and down in my living room. Italy, like real Italy. I had never seen her so excited about anything, and that reaction alone made every penny worth it. But then came the planning phase, and Adriana went into total overdrive. She immediately started researching every little coastal town we could visit, bookmarking restaurants with the best lighting for photos, and creating Pinterest boards full of Italian vacation outfits. I mean, she spent hours every night for 2 weeks straight planning what she would wear each day, how she would pose for photos, what hashtags would get the most engagement. Part of me found it endearing that she was so excited, but another part started to wonder if she was more excited about the Instagram content than about actually spending time with me in one of the most romantic places on earth. Still, I pushed those thoughts aside and focused on the logistics. I added her as an authorized user on my credit card so she could handle meals, excursions, and shopping without having to worry about money or ask me for cash every 5 minutes. I thought it would make the trip more relaxing for both of us if she had that freedom. The plan was simple. Fly out on Monday morning, explore the Mediterranean coast for 5 days, eat incredible food, drink wine, and reconnect as a couple away from all the stress of work and the routine that had been weighing us down. I even took the whole week off, which was practically unheard of for me. My colleagues kept joking that I must be planning to propose, and honestly, the thought had crossed my mind. If this trip went well, if we recaptured that spark we used to have, maybe Adriana would be the woman I would spend my life with. She certainly acted like she thought so too, constantly talking about our future and how this trip would be just the beginning of all the adventures we would have together. Monday morning could not come fast enough. This is where everything started out perfectly before it all went off the rails. Those first few days in Positano were like something straight out of a movie. I am talking about the kind of romantic perfection that makes you believe in fairy tales again. We would wake up to this incredible view of the Mediterranean stretching out endlessly blue beyond our hotel balcony. We would spend our mornings getting lost in those winding, narrow streets that seemed to defy gravity as they cling to the cliffside, and our afternoons drinking limoncello on sun-drenched terraces. While Adriana was taking what seemed like hundreds of photos, she was in her element, posing against every colorful building, every flowered balcony, every scenic overlook. "This lighting is absolutely perfect," she would say, handing me her phone for the thousandth time. "Can you take one more from this angle?" I did not mind playing photographer because seeing her so happy made me happy too. Our dinners were incredible: fresh seafood at restaurants perched right over the water, local wine that went down way too easily, conversations that lasted until the stars came out. On Tuesday night, we found this little family-run place where the owner's grandmother came out to personally recommend the catch of the day, and Adriana charmed her into taking photos of us together. Everything felt natural, connected, like we were finally back to being the couple I remembered from our early days. But then Wednesday came, and something shifted. Subtle at first, the kind of change you might not notice if you were not paying attention. Adriana started spending more time on her phone, even during meals. When I asked her about it, she would wave her hand dismissively and say, "Just uploading some photos, babe. You know how it is. Gotta keep the content fresh." Or she would claim she was texting her friends back home, who were living vicariously through her Italian adventure. Fair enough, I thought. Social media was her thing, and her friends were probably genuinely excited to see her updates. But it was the way she would smile at her screen sometimes, this little secret smile that did not include me, that started to bother me. Thursday morning brought our first real disagreement of the trip. I suggested we take it easy. Maybe explore some of the local shops I had read about. Hit the beach. Just enjoy being in this incredible place without any agenda. But Adriana had other plans. "Actually, I saw this wine tasting in Ravello that looks amazing," she said, already pulling up the booking website on her phone. "It is with Giuseppe's group. They do these intimate tastings at local vineyards with views of the coast. It will be perfect for content." I will be honest. The last thing I wanted to do was spend the day in a group setting with a bunch of strangers when we could be enjoying each other's company. "Cannot we just buy a bottle and drink it somewhere quiet together?" I suggested. "Just the two of us." The look she gave me was pure disappointment, as if I had suggested we spend the day watching paint dry. "Fernando, this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip," she said in that tone she used when she thought I was being boring. "We can drink wine at home anytime. This is about experiencing the real Italy." So she went off with Giuseppe's tasting group while I wandered around Positano alone, trying not to feel like I was being stood up on my own vacation. I spent the day checking out local artisan shops, chatting with shopkeepers about their crafts, actually experiencing what I thought was the real Italy. But when Adriana got back that night, she was practically vibrating with energy. "Oh my God, Fernando, you missed an amazing day," she gushed, but then immediately disappeared into the bathroom for about 45 minutes, claiming she needed to freshen up after all that wine. When she finally came out, she was glued to her phone again, typing out messages and laughing at the replies. "How was the wine?" I asked during dinner. "Amazing," she said without looking up. "We tried this incredible Falanghina, and there was this one vineyard with the most breathtaking views." But her answers felt rehearsed, like she was giving me the tourist brochure version while her real attention was somewhere else entirely. Friday morning brought the final straw. "I want to take the ferry to Capri today," Adriana announced over breakfast, as if it were already decided. "You know, do some shopping, see the sights. It will be such a cute day trip." When I started to say I would go with her, she cut me off. "Actually, I was thinking of going alone. You know how much you hate shopping, and I want to really explore without feeling rushed. The ferry to Capri takes about an hour each way, plus a full day of sightseeing." She was basically telling me she wanted to spend our entire day apart. "But we are on vacation together," I said, trying not to sound as hurt as I felt. "Exactly," she replied with that same bright smile that was starting to feel forced. "And this way, we can both do exactly what we want, then meet up tonight and share stories." She left at 10 in the morning and did not get back until after 5 in the afternoon, carrying one small shopping bag and offering vague details about her day. 7 hours in Capri, and she had practically nothing to show for it except a cheap souvenir keychain and an excuse about how everything was just so expensive. Friday night dinner was when everything finally came to a head. I had made reservations at this romantic cliffside restaurant that had been recommended by literally everyone. The kind of place where the tables are carved into terraces overlooking the sea and every sunset looks like a painting. This was supposed to be our big, romantic night, the Instagram-worthy moment that would make all her friends back home jealous. Instead, it became the most uncomfortable meal of my life. Adriana was physically sitting across from me, but mentally, she might as well have been on another planet. Every few minutes her phone would buzz, and she would immediately grab it, that same secret smile sliding across her face as she read whatever message had just come in. Then she would spend 2 or 3 minutes typing out replies, completely ignoring the incredible view, the incredible food, and the guy who had spent $4,000 to bring her here. "The pasta is amazing," I said, trying to make conversation. She mumbled without looking up from her screen. "And this wine pairs perfectly with it." The sommelier really knew what he was talking about. "That is nice," she replied, still typing. I watched her for a few more minutes. Watching this woman, I thought I was falling in love with, completely disengaged from what was supposed to be the high. For 5 minutes, we are at one of the most beautiful restaurants. The expression on her face was pure annoyance. "God, deal. It is a big of a deal when you are ignoring me on our vacation." Together, not so you could text your friends through every meal. To control who I talk to now, she snapped, her voice getting loud enough that other diners started to look over. "I'm allowed to have a social life. I am not trying to control anything," I said. "Girlfriend. Well, maybe your expectations are unrealistic," she shot back. "Maybe this whole have problems. Possessive?" I was asking her to have dinner with me without her phone, but seeing the fire in her eyes, the way she was looking at me like I was some kind of abuser, I realized there was no point in continuing this fight. "Fine," I said. "Check your messages. Do whatever you want." We finished the meal in tense silence, and that night she rolled over in bed without saying goodnight for the first time since we had been together. On Saturday morning, our last full day in paradise, I woke up hoping we could somehow salvage things. Maybe we had both said things we did not mean. Maybe we could talk it out and still end this trip on a high note. Instead, Adriana announced over breakfast that she had found another group activity to occupy her day. "There is this boat tour that explores all the hidden coves along the coast," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Swimming spots you can only get to by boat, secluded beaches, that whole vibe. It sounds absolutely magical." "Here we go again," I thought. "Sounds fun," I said carefully. "What time do we need to be ready?" "Oh, I am going alone again," she said with fake enthusiasm. "You said yesterday you wanted some time to relax and read that book you brought. This way, you can enjoy the hotel pool, and I can get some adventure shots for my feed." At this point, I was too exhausted to fight. If she wanted to spend our last day apart too, fine. Maybe some space really would do us both good. So, around noon, she left with her little beach bag and underwater camera, promising she would be back in time for a nice dinner. I settled into a lounge chair by the hotel's infinity pool with my book, trying to convince myself that this was exactly how I wanted to spend the day. The pool area was beautiful, peaceful, with an incredible view of the coast, anyway. I should have been perfectly content. But as the hours ticked by with no word from Adriana, that peaceful feeling started to sour into something else. 1 o'clock came and went. No text. 2, 3, 4. I tried calling, and it went straight to voicemail every time. By 5, I was starting to get genuinely worried. Boat tours usually do not last more than a few hours, especially not the midday excursions that were advertised around town. By 6, the worry had turned to anger. By 7, I was pacing our hotel room, checking my phone every 30 seconds. By 8, I was debating whether to call the Coast Guard. Finally, at 9:15 at night, my phone buzzed with a text message. "Hey babe, met some awesome people from the tour, and we decided to grab drinks at this cute beach club in Amalfi. It is going to be a late one, but do not wait up. 9 hours. She had been gone for 9 hours without a single word, and now she was extending her day even further with people she had just met. People who were apparently more interesting company than the boyfriend who had brought her to Italy in the first place. I stared at that text message for a long time, reading between the lines of the overly casual tone. The fact that she had ignored my calls all day but somehow had time to party with strangers. The way she told me not to wait up, as if she were already planning to stumble back to our room in the early hours of the morning. But I told myself to calm down. Maybe she was just blowing off steam after our fight. Maybe she needed this social outlet after feeling like I was being too possessive. Maybe tomorrow, our last day, we would finally get back on track and leave Italy with good memories instead of this growing pile of resentment and confusion. On Sunday morning, I woke up to an empty bed and the sound of silence that felt different from regular morning silence. Something was immediately wrong. Adriana's side of the bed was cold, as if she had not been there for hours. And when I checked the bathroom, her toiletries were scattered, but she was nowhere to be seen. Her suitcase was exactly where she had left it on Friday morning, clothes spilling out as if she had been too distracted to pack properly. But no Adriana. I thought maybe she had gone down for an early breakfast or taken a walk to clear her head after yesterday's drama. We had to check out by noon, so she would surely be back soon to pack and get ready for our flight home. 11 o'clock came and went. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. I sent texts asking where she was. No reply. By noon, I was making excuses to the front desk about needing a late checkout, while frantically trying to figure out where my girlfriend had disappeared to on our last morning in Italy. Perhaps she went for a morning excursion, the front desk clerk suggested helpfully in accented English. Many guests take morning hikes to see the sunrise from the cliffs. But I knew Adriana. She was not a sunrise person, and she was definitely not a morning hiker. Something was wrong. By 1, I was genuinely panicking. By 2, I was wondering if I should call the police. And then, at 3:15 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message that shattered everything I thought I knew about the woman I had been planning a future with. Hey, Fernando. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I met someone really special yesterday, and I have decided to extend my stay in Italy. I am sorry, but I need to explore this connection. Do not worry about me. I will figure out how to get home when I am ready. Please do not be mad. Sometimes life just takes you in unexpected directions. I read it 3 times before the words really sank in. Then I read it 3 more times, waiting for the punchline. They just kidding. The explanation that would make this make sense, but it never came. My girlfriend of 2 years had just informed me via text message that she was abandoning our relationship and our vacation to chase after some random guy she had met on a boat tour. The guy who had been getting all those secret texts, who had been the real reason for all those solo adventures and mysterious phone calls. I sat there in our hotel room, my hotel room now, I guess, staring at that message and trying to process the absolute audacity of it all. She had let me pay for this entire trip. She had watched me stress about the cost, accepted my credit card to use for expenses, and then had used the whole thing as an opportunity to meet someone new. The romantic getaway I had planned to reconnect us had turned into her personal dating app vacation, funded entirely by me. Around 7 that night, another message came in that was somehow even worse than the first. I know you are probably confused and hurt, but this person just makes me feel alive in a way I have not felt in years. I never meant for this to happen, but when you know, you know. Please do not try to contact me while I figure out what this means. I need space to explore these feelings without guilt or pressure. I hope one day you can understand that this is about me following my heart, not about hurting you. Following her heart with my credit card in the country I had brought her to as a romantic surprise. The anger hit me all at once, white hot and all-consuming. I spent that night pacing the small hotel room, alternating between rage and total disbelief. How does someone do this to another person? How do you accept someone's generosity, let them invest money and emotional energy in making you happy, and then casually discard them for the first attractive stranger who gives you attention? But somewhere around 3 in the morning, the anger crystallized into something else, clarity. Adriana wanted to follow her heart and start a new life with some mysterious Italian romance. Fine, but she could do it without my financial backing. On Monday morning, I made a few phone calls. First, I called my credit card company and had Adriana removed as an authorized user, effective immediately. Every card in her wallet with my name on it was now useless plastic. Then I called the airline and canceled her return ticket. Yes, I understood there would be massive change fees. Yes, I realized I was losing most of my savings with this decision, but watching my bank account drain felt a lot better than continuing to subsidize her European love affair. After that, I methodically packed all of her belongings into her suitcase, sealed it up, and left it at the front desk along with a note explaining that Ms. Adriana would be picking it up at some point, but I was not sure when. The hotel staff was very understanding. Apparently, this kind of drama was not entirely uncommon among their guests. My flight home was the loneliest 6 hours of my life, but it was also clarifying in a strange way. I had dodged a bullet. It was better to learn who Adriana really was now, after 2 years and an expensive vacation, than after a marriage and kids and a mortgage. On Tuesday morning, my phone started buzzing with frantic messages. "Fernando, my card is not working," was the first, sent from some cafe in Sorrento at what must have been lunchtime in Italy. "Call me now. Something is wrong with the credit card." Then came a series of increasingly desperate messages as she discovered that not only were the cards dead, but her flight home had been canceled as well. By Tuesday night, my phone was ringing off the hook. When I finally answered, Adriana was hysterically sobbing. "You cannot do this to me," she screamed. "I am stranded here. I cannot afford to stay in hotels. I do not know how to get home. I do not speak Italian. You cannot just abandon me in a foreign country." "Abandon you?" I said calmly. "Adriana, you abandoned our relationship to start a new life with someone else. I just assumed that meant you no longer needed my financial support. Is your new boyfriend not taking care of you?" "It is not like that," she cried. "This is cruel, Fernando. This is vengeful and horrible." I did not interrupt. What is cruel is letting someone spend $4,000 on a romantic vacation for you, then using that vacation to cheat on them. What is horrible is texting your boyfriend that you are starting a new life while you are spending his money. I am not being vengeful, Adriana. I am simply no longer paying for your decisions. But I cannot afford it. That is no longer my problem, I said, and I meant it. You made your choice. Actions have consequences. Figure it out. She hung up, screaming about how I was heartless and abusive. But honestly, I felt lighter than I had in months. 10 days later, mutual friends told me the rest of the story. It turns out Adriana's grand romance had been with some backpacker named Marco, who was bouncing around Europe on a shoestring budget. It was all passion and excitement until Adriana started talking about extending her stay permanently and needing help with expenses. Suddenly, Marco remembered he had to be somewhere else, and Adriana found herself alone in Italy with no money and no plan. Eventually, she had to call her parents, admit what she had done, and beg them to send her money for a flight home. The story spread through our entire social circle, and let us just say public opinion was not exactly on her side. Looking back now, I realized that trip showed me exactly who Adriana really was. Not the woman I thought I was falling in love with, but someone who was perfectly willing to use my feelings and my money as stepping stones to what she thought would make her happier. The $4,000 hurt, but it was the best money I ever spent if it meant avoiding a future with someone so selfish.